In this lecture, we are going to study about compiling and executing our programs using Windows command prompt or Windows CMD. So far we have seen the basic introduction to C programming. We have also seen how to write a simple C program, and we have also seen how to install the source code editor and the compiler for writing our program and for compiling and running our programs. So here I am going to show you how to actually compile and execute programs using Windows command prompt. So make sure that you have followed the previous lecture where we installed all the tools that are required for compiling and running our programs. So if you don't have the compiler installed, then what we are going to discuss in this lecture is not going to work in your system. So because of that, make sure that you have watched the previous video and make sure that you have installed all the necessary things that are required. Alright, so let's get started. So first of all, let's understand what is the meaning of compiling, and then we will see how to actually compile and run a program. So having written the program, we need to compile it. So we have to compile a program after writing it. Compiling is a transformation from source code, which is the human readable form, to machine code, which is the computer executable code. So when we write a program, like we have seen in our previous lectures, we write it in human readable form, which is known as a source code. Now the computer has to convert it to machine code, only then it will be able to execute that code. So the conversion or the transformation of the source code from the human readable form into machine code or computer executable code is known as compiling. Okay, now how you compile a program depends on your operating system and the compiler. So the way of compiling a program will depend upon your operating system and also the compiler. So in this course we are using Windows, and then we are using the min-gw compiler, which we have seen in the previous lecture. So using that, I am going to show you how we can compile our programs. So we will see how to compile and execute our programs via the Windows command prompt. So if you remember, in the previous lecture, we have also installed the Visual Studio Code, and even using that we can compile our programs. But here in this lecture, we are going to discuss how to compile using Windows command prompt, and in the next lecture, we will see how to do it from Visual Studio Code itself. Okay, so let's see the steps. So for compiling a program using Windows command prompt, first of all what we have to do is we have to create the source file. Now let's see how to create the source file and what are the steps involved in creating the source file. So source file is nothing but the file that contains our source code. So first of all, navigate to any location of your choice and create an empty text file. So you can go to any location in your computer and then you can create an empty text file. Now after that, rename the file's extension to .cpp. Now this is very important. We first created a text file, but we have to rename the extension of the file to .cpp, which will specify that this is a C++ source code file. So the extension for every C++ source code file will be .cpp. So you have to rename it like this. And then open the file with any text editor, which can be like Notepad or Notepad++, etc. Any text editor of your choice can be used, and you can type the code in that. So here, as I said, we are trying to show how to do it in Windows command prompt. So that is why we are not making use of the Visual Studio Code here. So for writing the program, we are just using the Notepad or Notepad++. Now after that, we have to save the file. Alright, so let us practically do this much and then we'll come back and see how to continue. So here I am on my desktop, and here I want to create the source file. Okay, so let me first create a folder here because that will be good. So I will create a new folder here and let me just name it as sample. Okay, so here I have created a folder named sample, and then I will enter this folder, and here this is the place where I want to have my source code. Now in order to have the source code, what was the first step? We have to create an empty text file. So let me create a new text document. So right click, new, and text document. That will create an empty text document file. And then the next step that was mentioned was to rename the extension to .cpp. So here you see this is a text file. So the extension that is there by default is .txt. So I have to rename it to .cpp. So let me give any name to this file. Let me call it, let's say, test. And then I have to give the extension .cpp and enter. So it will give you a warning here asking if you change the file extension, the file may become unusable. Are you sure? So just say yes. Now this becomes a .cpp file. Now if you are not able to see this extension in your system, then you can just click on this view and then make sure that this file extensions checkbox is checked. So if it is not checked, then you may not be able to see the extension. So make sure that it is checked so that you can see the extension and you can easily change it. Okay, now we have the file ready. Now what was the next step? We have to open the file with any text editor and you can type in the code. So here I have Notepad++ installed in my system, which is a great text editor. So you can use it, or you can also simply use Notepad. It's up to you. So I will right click this file and I will say open with Notepad or Notepad++. So I'm going to use Notepad++ here. So here the file has been opened. So here we just have to type in the code. So let me just use this same code that we used in one of our previous lectures. So what it does is, it just is going to print welcome to the C++ world on the screen. So I have already explained this code when we discussed the lecture where we studied about writing a simple C++ program. Okay, so this is what we want to compile and run. So the output should be welcome to the C++ world. Now let us save it. You can save it here and then let's see what we have to do. So up to this step we have seen. Now let's see how to compile it. So coming back to our steps, we have done all these steps and we have saved the file. Okay, now for compiling and executing the program, let's see what we have to do. So the first step is open Windows command prompt, which is also known as CMD, and then we have to navigate to the location where the source file is present. So in our case, we placed it on the desktop in a folder named sample. So we have to navigate to that location using Windows command prompt. And then we have to compile the program using any of the following commands. So there are two commands given here. Using this, we have to compile our program. So here we see the first command is g++ filename.cpp. So you have to write g++ and the name of the file .cpp. So the name of the file that we created was test. It was test.cpp. Okay, so let us first do this and then we will come back to the next one. Okay, now after doing this, how to run the program? Execute the generated output file. How? By typing a.exe or output filename.exe. So we will see what is this by practically doing it. So let's go back to the place where our program is residing. So here I come back to my desktop and here we see this is the sample folder that we created, and inside this we have our test.cpp, which is our file that we want to compile. Okay, now we have to open Windows command prompt. That was the first step. So you can go to start and type CMD. So here the command prompt window opens. Just open it and then we have it open over here. So let me move it to this side. So here we see that this is a current location, but where is our file? Our file is on the desktop inside this sample folder. So we have to move to that folder first. So for that we will use a cd command. Cd means change directory. So cd space and then we have to type where we want to go, which is the desktop. So I want to go to the desktop. Now I am on the desktop and then in the desktop I need to go to the sample folder. So again cd space sample. So if I press enter, now I am inside the sample folder now. Now here my program is present. Now we have to compile the program using the command that I just showed you. And what was that? It is g++ space name of the file, which is test.cpp. Now let us press enter, and if it has compiled successfully, it will not give any error message. It will just come and show you the next line like this. So here we see that in our folder, if you look here, there is a new file that has been generated, which is a.exe. Now what that means is that the compilation has been successful and it generated an executable output file, which is a.exe. So in order to run this a.exe, we just have to type a.exe in our command prompt, and if you press enter, then the program will run and it should give the output. Welcome to the C++ world. So this was what we typed in our source code. So welcome to the C++ world is successfully printed. So essentially what happened is that we compiled the program and then it got successfully compiled and it generated the output file, which is a.exe. And then we just have to run the output file by typing this command a.exe and then the output is shown on the screen. Alright, now let's go back to our steps again and see the second command that was there and see what is the use of that. Now here as you see there is one more command, g++ filename.cpp space -o space output filename. Now what does this mean? So if you have noticed, when we compiled the program, the name of the output file that got generated was a.exe. Now whenever you compile a program using command prompt, the default file name for the output file will be always a.exe. So if you want to change that, that means if you want to give some custom name for the file name yourself, then we have to use this command. So here in the same way, just type g++ filename.cpp, then -o, and here you can specify the name of the output file you want. And when you compile it, you will have to compile it using the output file name that you specified. Okay, let's go and do that and see how it works. Okay, so we come back to the command prompt again, and here I want to compile this same program once more using the new command that we saw. So it was g++ space filename.cpp space -o space output file name. Now I can give any name for the output file name. So let me just call it output file. So I call it output file and then I press enter. Now let's see what will happen. Now if you see here, the program got compiled successfully, and then the output file that is generated here has the name outputfile.exe, which was the name that we specified. So it is not going to be the default output file name of a.exe, but it is a file name that we specified. So in order to run it, it is the same procedure. Just type the name of the file, that is outputfile.exe. So if I press enter, it should give me the output of our program, that is welcome to the C++ world. So we see that the output is printed successfully. So that is how we can compile the program specifying the name of the output file, and we run the output file using the name that we specified. Okay, so with that we come to the end of compiling and executing the programs using Windows command prompt. So this is the only command that you have to remember, g++ filename.cpp or g++ filename.cpp, and specify the output file name. And for running or executing the generated output file, just type the name of the output file and it will be executed. So that is how you can compile a C++ program using the Windows command prompt. So with this, I hope you understood what is the meaning of compiling and how we can compile a C++ program using Windows command prompt. So I hope this lecture is clear to you. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.